Welcome to the Deep Dive. We know keeping up with tech news can feel like, well, drinking from a fire hose.
It really can. Information overload is real.
So this week we're digging into Andrew Kagan's latest tech newsletter. Our aim: to pull out the genuinely interesting bits, the stuff you might actually use or find thought-provoking.
Exactly. Consider us your curators. We've sifted through the links, the videos, the articles, trying to highlight the key updates across Microsoft and the wider tech world.
Yeah, saving you some time, basically. And hopefully keeping you in the loop without the overwhelm.
Our mission, should you choose to accept it.
Right. And there's quite a mix this time. We're talking cloud, AI, developer tools, security.
Even some future of work ideas and quantum computing research sneaked in there.
Okay, so let's dive right in. First up, Azure updates. What caught your eye?
Well, the newsletter flagged a couple of videos. Sometimes video is just a quicker way to absorb something, right?
Totally. Especially for visual learners or if you're short on time.
So there's one on migrating storage to Azure. Pretty fundamental stuff, but having a video guide can be super handy.
Seeing the steps visually often helps.
And then there was this other one, building an Azure local data center at home using Azure Stack HCI.
Okay, Azure Stack HCI, hyper-converged infrastructure, right? So compute, storage, networking, all bundled.
Precisely. And the interesting part is making that kind of hybrid cloud setup accessible, like even for a home lab or for enthusiasts.
Yeah, that is cool. It used to feel like something only massive companies could play with. Now it's, well, more democratized for learning and testing.
Exactly. It opens up possibilities. Okay, moving over to the Microsoft 365 world.
What's new there?
For the command line fans, there's a new version, 10.6, of the CLI for Microsoft 365.
The command line interface. Good for automation, folks.
Definitely. If you prefer scripting your M365 management, this update probably brings some nice efficiency gains.
Useful for those power users.
Oh?
Then there's something called Microsoft Viva Amplify.
Yeah, this sounds interesting. It's pitched as a tool to help organizations make sure their important messages actually get seen by employees.
So tackling that internal communication challenge. Cutting through the noise.
Seems like it. Helping plan and distribute communications more strategically, which, can be a real pain point.
I can imagine. And speaking of changes in how we work, Copilot updates.
Yes, big focus there. The Spring 2025 Wave 2 updates from Microsoft 365 Copilot are mentioned, plus an article called Copilot Built for the Human Agent Era.
Human agent era. That sounds significant.
It really points to this ongoing trend, doesn't it? AI isn't just taking over tasks, it's becoming like a collaborator.
So the usefulness here is understanding how these Copilot enhancements can actually augment what we do day to day. Working with the AI.
Exactly. It suggests that figuring out how to prompt, guide, and, partner effectively with these AI assistants is becoming a key skill.
Makes sense. Okay, let's shift to the Power Platform and Dynamics 365. More AI here too, I bet.
Oh, absolutely. It's everywhere. The newsletter points out what's new in Copilot Studio April 2025.
Right, Copilot Studio for building custom AI assistants, often with low code or no code.
That's the one. So these updates likely make it even easier or more powerful for people to create their own AI tools without needing deep programming skills.
Empowering more people, but with great power.
Comes great responsibility. Well, fittingly, there were also PowerCat webinars mentioned on navigating AI risks and evolving AI governance.
Crucial topics. You can't just unleash AI without thinking about the guardrails, the ethics, the potential risks.
Definitely not. So resources discussing responsible AI practices are super important for anyone building or deploying these things.
Good to see that highlighted. Any more sort of practical updates for Power Platform folks?
Yeah, a couple. There's a preview feature using Monitor to maximize production health. Sounds like better tools for, keeping an eye on how your apps are running.
Performance monitoring, basically.
Yeah.
Always useful.
And also the ability to use shareable service principal name with Power Apps.
Service principal name. That's about secure access between services, right?
Yeah.
Without using individual passwords.
Exactly. It's a security and management improvement. Makes things more robust and potentially easier to handle.
Okay, practical improvements. And for data visualization fans.
A video on quadrant charts in Power BI Smarter and Cleaner looks like enhancements for making those types of charts more effective for, data storytelling.
Better visuals always help communicate insights.
And for workflow automation, there's the Process Map Public Preview in Power Automate.
Ooh, visualizing workflows. That sounds helpful for understanding and optimizing complex automations.
Anything visual like that usually makes things clearer. And to tie it all together, there's a mention of a Power Platform plus Copilot Studio Architecture Center.
Like a blueprint resource.
Yeah, a central place to understand how all these components work together, how to architect solutions using them. Very valuable for getting the big picture.
Okay, let's get a bit more technical. DevOps, SRE, infrastructure.
Right, the engine room stuff. First up, RJAG architectures in practice.
RAG, Retrieval Augmented Generation. Okay, break that down. What's the useful nugget here?
The key idea with RGA is making large language models, AI like ChatGPT, more reliable and accurate.
How?
Instead of just relying on its training data, which can be outdated, it actively retrieves up-to-date information from a specific knowledge base, like your company's documents, to augment its answer.
So it's like giving the AI access to a current library before it speaks.
Exactly. Grounding it in facts. Super useful for building AI apps you can actually trust for specific tasks.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
What else in this area?
Top 6 Kafka use cases. Kafka's that popular platform for handling real-time data streams, right?
Yeah, think of like website clicks, sensor data, financial transactions, stuff pouring in constantly.
So understanding its common uses like log aggregation, stream processing, messaging can spark ideas for solving data challenges.
Got it. Then API protocols. APIs are how software talks to each other, but protocols.
Yeah, APIs are the messengers. Protocols like REST or GraphQL are the languages or rules they follow for that conversation.
Why is knowing the difference useful?
Because choosing the right protocol impacts performance, flexibility, how easy it is to develop against. Understanding the trade-offs is key for developers building or integrating systems.
Right. And related to that, resources on API architectures and what does an API gateway actually do?
More foundational knowledge for designing and managing those crucial connections effectively. An API gateway acts like a traffic cop for all your APIs.
Okay. And one more for developers who bridge worlds.
A video on a PowerShell module for WSL2 management. WSL2 being the Windows subsystem for Linux.
So managing your Linux environment on Windows using PowerShell scripts?
Seems like it. Could be a neat efficiency booster for devs working across both OCs.
Cool. All right, let's move into data, analytics, and AI. Always a buzzing area.
For sure. There's a Microsoft Fabric update video. Fabric is Microsoft's big push for an end-to-end analytics platform, so updates there are relevant for many.
Keeping up with the integrated platform. What else? Change data capture, or CDC. Sounds technical.
It's a bit, but the concept is really useful. CDC basically tracks and captures every change made to data in a database, like as it happens.
Okay, why would you want to do that?
Think about keeping different systems in sync. If a customer updates their address in your main app, CDC can instantly push that change to your analytics warehouse or marketing system. It maintains consistency.
Real-time data synchronization. Got it. That sounds powerful.
It really is. The newsletter also dangled this carrot. 12 charts you probably don't know, but should.
Ooh, I like the sound of that. Expanding the data visualization toolkit.
Could be. Maybe some less common but insightful chart types to explore for telling better data stories.
Always good to have more tools. What about content creation?
A mention of Microsoft's Markdown tool. It's open source for converting between Markdown and other formats. Could be handy for developers or writers working with documentation.
A practical little utility. Anything on cost saving?
Yep, for Azure SQL users. A video on SQL MI pools. Cost optimization with 2 vCore instances. MI is managed instance.
So tips for running smaller, more cost-effective SQL database instances in Azure.
Looks like it. Cloud cost optimization is always a hot topic, so practical tips like that are golden.
Definitely. And finally in this section, fine-tuning language models for business.
This is about taking those big general AI models and customizing them, right? Making them specific to your company.
Exactly. Training them further on your own data, your terminology, your specific tasks, to make them way more useful for your actual business needs, making LLMs truly yours.
That seems increasingly important, moving beyond generic AI to specialized, valuable tools.
Okay, let's pivot to security, compliance, and privacy. Can't ignore these.
Never. First, a resource explaining how SIEM actually works. SIEM is Security Information and Event Management.
Kind of the central dashboard for security alerts and logs.
Pretty much. Understanding the basics of how these systems collect, correlate, and flag potential threats is fundamental security knowledge these days.
Good foundational stuff. What about authentication?
A video on FIDO2 keys and MFA compliance. FIDO2 keys are those physical security keys, like YubiKeys.
Using hardware for multi-factor authentication.
Exactly. It's a big step up in security compared to just passwords or even SMS codes, and often helps meet stricter compliance rules.
Makes sense. Stronger protection and cloud security.
2 videos mentioned. Secure your servers with Microsoft's Server Protection Solution and go beyond checkboxes. Defender CSPM for cloud security.
CSPM, Cloud Security Posture Management. So tools to check your cloud setup for misconfigurations and weaknesses.
That's the idea. Moving beyond just ticking compliance boxes to actively managing and improving your security posture in Azure or other clouds using tools like Microsoft Defender for Cloud.
Proactive security.
Good.
Now, what about learning and certifications? Any helpful pointers?
Yeah, some nice curated resources. A Getting Started with Azure playlist and a Power BI and DAX tips and tricks playlist.
All playlists are great. Structured learning paths for building skills in Azure Fundamentals or Power BI's DAX language.
Right, saves you hunting around. Someone's already picked out a good sequence of videos or articles.
Very useful. Anything on interacting with AI better?
Yes, the CARE Prompting Framework for AI, CARD. It's presented as a structured way to write better prompts to get more useful results from AI models.
Interesting. Prompt engineering is becoming a skill in itself, isn't it? So a framework could really help.
It could provide a repeatable method. There are also videos on Governance 101 for Microsoft Copilot agents and extend Microsoft 365 Copilot with Copilot Studio.
So how to manage Copilot usage and how to customize or build on top of it.
Seems like it. As Copilot rolls out more widely, knowing how to govern it and tailor it using tools like Copilot Studio becomes really important for organizations.
Right, managing the rollout and customization.
Yeah.
And for developers using coding assistants.
A video explaining GitHub Copilot Chat Ask, Edit and Agent modes explained.
So diving into the different ways you can interact with GitHub Copilot beyond just code completion, using it for asking questions, editing code, more complex tasks.
Exactly. Leveraging its full potential as more of an AI pair programmer.
These AI tools are evolving so fast.
Yeah.
Okay, last section. Industry news and trends. What broader shifts or interesting developments were highlighted?
Well, there was a slightly philosophical one, a video on new language to describe work.
Like how terms like gig economy or remote work are changing how we even talk about jobs?
Possibly along those lines. Reflecting on the evolving nature of employment itself. Then, more concretely, some new players and tools in the AI space.
Like what?
Deep Infra's AI Inference Cloud for developers, and Google's Firebase Studio disrupts AI IDEs.
So new cloud platforms specifically for running AI models, and new development environments focus on AI.
Yeah, it shows the constant innovation and competition, more options for developers building AI applications.
It's definitely a hot area. Any geopolitical angles?
A mention of Anthropic's take on U.S. AI chip export controls. Anthropic is a major AI research company.
Right, so their perspective on how government controls on advanced chip exports might affect the AI industry.
Exactly. These regulations have real consequences for who can build the most powerful AI and where.
Interesting intersection of tech and policy. What about cutting-edge research?
2 fascinating bits here. Scientists speed up the groundwork essential for quantum computing.
Quantum is always mind-bending. So progress on the fundamental challenges.
Seems like it. Still early days, but any speed up there is significant long-term. And the other one. Anthropic develops AI microscope to visualize LLM reasoning.
Whoa, trying to peek inside the AI's brain to see how it reaches conclusions.
That's the goal. Understanding why an LLM gives a certain answer is a huge challenge and critical for building trust. This sounds like a novel approach.
That's seriously cool. And finally, AI impacting government and enterprise.
Yep, examples like the GSA launches OneGov procurement transformation strategy. GSA is the U.S. General Services Administration, and VAST introduces enterprise-wide AI agent.
So government using tech to streamline its processes and companies deploying AI agents across their entire operations.
It shows AI and digital transformation moving beyond niche applications into core functions in large organizations and even government.
Wow, okay. So wrapping up this deep dive into Andrew Kagan's newsletter, we've really bounced around.
We definitely covered a lot of ground, from, practical Azure tips and M365 updates, all the way to visualizing LLM reasoning and quantum computing.
It really paints a picture of just how fast everything is moving, especially with AI weaving into almost everything.
And hopefully drilling down like this gave you a useful snapshot, the key things to maybe pay attention to, without needing to read every single article yourself.
Exactly. The goal was curated usefulness. So maybe a final thought to leave folks with. With AI becoming so embedded in our tools, our infrastructure, even how we talk about work,
Yeah, what does that mean for us?
what new skills or maybe even like new ways of thinking do you think will be most valuable in the next few years to navigate all this change?
That's a great question. Something definitely worth pondering. How do we adapt and thrive in this human agent era?
It's definitely food for thought. If any specific topic we touched on sparked your interest, we absolutely encourage you to dig deeper, check out the original newsletter, or search online.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Until next time, keep exploring.